School Board of Education meeting for May to order. First on the agenda is a roll call.
Scott Barton here, Amanda Burr, Jesse Juneman, Mike Langen here, Charlie McPherson here, Brad Hayes
Here. So I move to approve. I move to looking for a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. Mr. Bruce?
Brad Hayes.
Yes.
Scott Barton.
Yes.
Mike Langen.
Yes.
Charlie McPherson.
Yes. Motion approved. Next on the agenda is the recognition of the open meeting law, which is on the wall over there. We will be following that for our meeting tonight. So if you'd all stand, we're going to do the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next on the agenda is public participation. And the board will accept public comments if you have any tonight. Hearing none, we'll move to the next agenda item, which is presentation. We have the Central Kids poster winners and digital citizenship with Dean Williams. Say that one more time, sorry.
Miss Francis Gatto. I teach 5th grade social studies at Central as well. So we did this in our classroom, and Miss Williams came in, and their goal was to encourage and inspire others to teach citizenship through technology. So they did that by creating a poster, and then we had 2 runner-ups, which was Anson Schilling and Elijah Sherrard, is that right? Okay, so those 2 were our Nebraska winners, and then we also did Central winners too, because they worked so hard, and that was Cooper Dickinson, Lincoln Hagan, Ashley Debbie, Brantley Peterson, and Lincoln Hagan. Oh, Lincoln Brown, sorry. But anyway, so they're gonna stand up here and they're gonna give you a little snippet about their poster and show you their poster. So I'm gonna give them a round of applause.
So when you stand, can you tell us your name as well? Please. Whoever wants to start.
Hello, I'm Mason Shell and I was in senior class. This class was really fun, especially the poster. My poster was about kindness, because kindness is important. The poster I made was also about sports. One of the things that I spoke about in my poster was you should practice kindness like you practice sports. Overall, this was really fun. I hope people will start using kindness.
Thank you, Anson.
How are you doing?
Someone's got it. Okay.
My name is Lincoln Brown. This year, Mrs. Williams has taught us about digital citizenship. I picked the patriotic thing because I love America. I also picked practicing kindness because I think it's a topic that I know about. Personally, I love working on Canva and science. Daily, I love working on this problem. If I can have a help this, no one else in this space.
Hi, my name is Ashley Debbie. I am a 5th grader at Central Elementary. This year, Mrs. Williams had us do a project called Citizenship. The topic I chose was kindness. I feel patriotism is a theme that inspires others to be kind. In conclusion, I love working on this project as it has reminded me what I should be kind.
My name is Brittany Peterson. For my poster, I chose sportsmanship. I chose this for a few reasons. First, I think people need better sportsmanship. Next, I'm trying to encourage people to play sports with a good attitude. Lastly, sports are good for the human body. This poster would encourage me to start playing fun sports. It would also help make sure to always have a good attitude.
Hello, my name is Lincoln Hayden. Today I want to talk about something simple, but very powerful. Being nice. Being nice may seem like a small thing, but it can make a huge difference in someone's life. Being nice helps create strong communities, teams, and friendships. In a world where people can sometimes be negative or hurtful, choosing to be nice stands out. When one person is kind, it often inspires others to be kind too. So today I challenge everyone to choose kindness. Being nice costs nothing, but giving everything. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Veronica Sherwood. We did a poster project in class about digital citizenship. This project was really fun and exciting. I did not really pick my thing for this poster. I just picked it randomly for fun. In the end, this project is really fun and interesting.
Hello, my name is Peter. For this poster, I chose to do kindness. I did this for a couple of reasons. One reason is because when you're kind, it makes other people stay better. Another reason is because being nice to other people makes you feel good. My last reason for choosing this theme is because they will be nice back. This poster would help you be nice to others. I could do that by complimenting somebody's clothing. Mr. Norgard, you have a very nice suit.
So thank you again for allowing your students to feature their posters. They work so hard throughout the year, so proud of them.
So you guys did awesome. Thank you for presenting to us, and thank you for being kind and good sports. That'll take you a long way tonight, so thank you. Way to lead by example.
Takes a lot of courage to stand up and talk to people, doesn't it? Yeah, you guys did a great job, and your posters are awesome. Good job.
Yeah, and I just want to mention these guys are the cream of the crop. So it's going to be fun to watch them in junior high and high school. These young men, right? These young men are going to be part of it.
That's some pretty good artists there, too.
Yeah. I want to get back to this.
Thank you, teachers. I appreciate it. Obviously, you're a good mentors for our young students, so way to go.
Thank you for coming.
So you're certainly welcome, and excuse if you'd like to. You're welcome to stay.
There's a lot of calls.
Way to go, thank you, though. Thank you, parents, for coming.
Are you for the newspaper? I'm with McCook News Now. She does the Gazette. Okay. Yeah. Do you have? I can give you my email.
So next on our agenda is the approval of the consent agenda, which includes the minutes and
It's
financial.
Anna. Oh, sorry.
Looking for a motion.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
Do you want my phone number? You can send it through there too.
Have a motion with a second.
It's Anna at
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
McCook News Now.
Hearing none, we'll take a vote. Mr. Gross?
Scott Barker. Yes.
Thank you.
Mike Lang. Yes. Charlie McPherson. Yes. Brad Hicks.
Yes. Motion
They
approved.
did such a great job.
Next on the agenda is policy committee, and we had
This
a
is her first
meeting
year.
last week about, quite a few policies, and they are on the agenda here for, they're up for approval. And so, I don't know, we're gonna discuss them individually at this point, but you can add anything you like.
Yeah,
in regard.
these policies were shared with you all to review. During the meeting, we went over each of the policies, talked about the changes. I think what should be noted is all of these policies, except for basically one, were modified solely based off of changes made to state statute to bring the district in alignment with the expectations that were set in place this year during the legislative session at Community Council. So those change, our attorneys work really hard to make sure our policies are cohesive with what the state statutes are, so that we're not out of compliance with law. We did add some changes to one of the policies having to do with the selection and placement of transfer students. And within that policy, and some of that came from state statute, and some of it came from some of our own adjustments. And our adjustments to that policy have to do with expectations concerning who receives a diploma from McCook High School. So who's able to walk through and go through the graduation process. We had, we didn't really change expectations, to be quite honest with you. What the language did is clarify what our expectations are. So it wasn't a change of mindset or philosophy or function and practice. All that stayed the same. It was just putting it in a policy so that when folks read our policy, it's clearly stated what McCook Public Schools' expectations are for anyone who's going to receive a diploma from our high school. If they believe that they're completing their high school career at McCook High School, here's what they've actually accomplished. So that's what that language does. But basically everything else has to do with policies, changes due to state statute. We can cover those real quickly. I don't want to spend too much time on them unless you have questions. Bulletin boards, display cases, and posted material. This policy, this came from the state statute requiring school districts to provide equal access to different organizations or that represent different educator groups, such as an association for teachers or an association for administrators. Policies 3130, 3131, and 3132 all have to do with changes in state statute concerning the processes for procurement and the dollars associated with procurement. A little bit of it has to do with how we go through the bid process, those types of things. But it just clarified our language to bring it into being cohesive again with the state statute. Policy 3560, records management, and this has to do with maintaining records and how we share records with the state of Nebraska. The state is in a process of trying to make sure that they can watch students as they transfer from school to school and from different types of educational entities, such as YRTC or some others, or Boys Town, those types of facilities. So the state can still track those students, even though they might be going off to a private parochial type of setting or a housing setting. So that was a policy that we changed there to in line with that statute. 5003 has to do with the assignment of students. That's when I talked about graduation. Policy 5004 has to do with full-time enrollment, part-time enrollment, and that has to do with option enrollment, and again, transfers in, but it also has a little bit to do with the siblings. So the state's unicameral passed a statute this year saying that if a student wants to option in, let's say we have a student that wants to option into McCook Public Schools, and they have a sibling that's already here, this statute, the statute that was passed, makes it mandatory that the school accept them. So we had to change our policy to match that. Approval, policy update 506, that has to do with option enrollment. And okay, 504, 505, and 506 all have to do with the same issue. Policy number 5601, asthma, anaphylactic and allergic reaction protocols, just that brought that into alignment with state statute. Really doesn't change our protocols. We have a protocol in place. It just clarified some of that language in our policy. Approval of policy 8342, method of giving notice. So the old statute said you had to post in a newspaper. This changes that because a lot of communities have lost their newspaper or it's difficult to get their advertisements in the newspaper because they might be once a week or once every 2 weeks. So it opened up the doors for some communities to post or use their website to post for board meetings. We're going to continue to use the newspaper here. Obviously, we have a newspaper that provides access or is disseminated in the community more often than once a week. So we're going to stick with that. But that policy doesn't bring us into alignment with state statute. And I think that's it. Any questions about any of those? Was there anything I missed that would have been pertinent to the discussion?
Thank you. Next on the agenda is the Americanism Committee report.
We had a hearing just at 5:30 this afternoon or this evening, and basically we just talked about our mission in the public schools to equip all students and to succeed in a complex global society. And what are we talking about? What days we're honoring through Martin Luther King Day, President's Day, and things like that. So how we're handling that, and then we're talking about ordering new materials next year for all the social studies.
And no one spoke at the hearing. No one gave a public response.
I would make note that we do want to have earlier Americanism hearing next year prior to materials adoption. That way we're giving the community the right to come to the hearing and speak before. And typically we would approve purchases in April, so we're going to want to do that probably in March. So just FYI.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll move to the next agenda item, which is our superintendent's report, Mr. Norberg.
All right. The first thing that I have on my report is poverty student allocation process. So this is part of the TIOSA formula. So when we talk about state aid, one of the things I wanted to do was kind of discuss or share with everyone how a school's poverty allowance is allocated. Where does that number come from? So there's basically several steps that the state goes through, about 8 steps. First, they identify low-income students. So the state calculates low-income students using federal income tax data for children and households at or below poverty thresholds and adjusts it to the district student population. So the primary source for poverty identification is income tax returns. Step 2, identify free lunch. So there is another way to do this. So step 2, identify free lunch students. Districts report free lunch eligible students using fall data, including adjustments for community eligibility provisions and participation, which takes us to step 3. So there's 2 forms of data that we collect. The income tax and then the free and reduced lunch count. Step 3, select the higher count that formally uses the greater of low-income students or free lunch students. This becomes the district's initial poverty count. So whichever of those 2 measures of data collection is larger, that's what the state uses to calculate poverty. Step 4, apply growth adjustment. If the current poverty count exceeds the 3-year average, there's an increase added to recognize the recent growth in student need. Step 5, calculate poverty percentage. The adjusted poverty count is divided by the total formula students to determine the district's poverty percentage. So once they have that number, you bring in your total student population, and then you find out what your poverty percentage is. And depending on where the poverty percentage is, determines how much poverty you receive, and your student count. So student count and poverty percentage are both really important in this calculation. If you are at 10% and you have 100 students versus 30%, 100 students, obviously, with 30% of your students are poverty, even though the number of students in the total system is 100, they stole more money because 30% is greater. Add to the formula needs, the final poverty allowance is added to the, number 7, apply district cap. The calculated poverty allowance is limited by the district-specific maximum to control overall impact. That's something that will never hit. That number is calculated. We're not, Mr. Gross, we're not close to that calculation. And so I don't ever see us hitting that. So whatever that number is determined through that process that I've explained so far, that'll be our poverty allowance. Step 8, add to the formula needs. The final poverty allowance is added to the district's total formula needs, which may influence the state aid depending on the full TOSA calculation. One thing that I want to explain here a little bit is when they decide that it's 30% or 20%, that's divided across your whole community, and they start from that percentage on their scale, and they allocate the total population equally to each of the percentages. So it'd be like 30%, 25 to 30%. Let's say it's 30%. You get a certain number of students, let's say, 25. For 25 students at 25 to 30, there'd be 25, between 25, or between 20 and 25, there'd be 25 between 15 and 20, 25 between 10 and 15, 25 between 5 and 10. So that's how that works evenly across the board. And I think I might have left out a group there, but it's disseminated equally. Now that might not make sense, but that's how it's calculated for every school district across the state. And so, in essence, we're all treated the same, even if it's not true equalization when it comes to poverty. Jeff, what am I missing?
Just a couple notes, and we've always utilized the low-income students based off of federal tax returns. We do not have best success at McCook with people turning in free and reduced lunch forms. So we've always had to rely on the federal data. We send out, we notify, we publish, we put it everywhere, but we just do not get the percentage of people turning the forms back in. The majority of our free and reduced applicants that do qualify via SNAP benefits.
Well, that is, right now, that's not necessarily the case. I know that they say that, but it might be. But they're looking at changing to a direct process, which is SNAP and TANF.
Yeah.
There's 2 processes. So they might go to that process fully in the future. And I'm not sure that's what's best for us because it requires folks to fill out the documents to receive those benefits. If they don't fill them out, then they wouldn't receive them and they wouldn't be counted in our poverty. We know that when they use the income tax process, those kids are going to be counted automatically, and those numbers are kind of guaranteed. There's going to be some ebb and flow from one year to the next. But if you go to a different process completely, I would expect a change. If we went to SNAP, and just SNAP, I would expect a change in our poverty allowance. I just would expect that.
Yeah.
Because it requires people to fill out the forms.
Absolutely.
Very good. Next thing I have there is changes to NPERS retirement. This is just so that you are all aware. LB 824 passed, and that drops the minimum number of days, a teacher must sit out, or a retired educator must sit out before they can go back to work for a school district. It had previously been 180 days. So when someone retired in May, they would have to sit out 180 days before they could come back to work for a public school system and enter into the retirement system. During that 180 days, however, they could work up to 8 days a month as maybe a substitute teacher or provide for an in-service training or something along those lines. With the new law, that's dropped down to 120 days. That's a good change. So the teachers don't have to sit out as long, which is great, especially when you're at a staffing crunch. one of the things that's kind of a hit that we're not as excited about, although I am excited about the 120 days, is during that 120-day separation period, they can't do anything for the schools in any capacity. They can't work, they no longer can do the 8 days of substitute teaching. They're really not to volunteer in the school system at all. And so if they do some coaching or some, not coaching, but officiating, that puts them, they can't officiate for the schools, or for at least the school that they work for. So that puts a little bit of a pinch on some of those jobs that we hire people for short-term periods of time. And you really kind of do rely on those folks. But it is good that that's been dropped down to 120 days. And you might ask why. Well, just adds greater flexibility to school systems and to the retiree. And the 120 days brings it into alignment with other agencies across the state that have similar statutes that govern their return to work. So I think the Department of Roads would be 120 days. So it brings us into alignment with those other organizations. UNMC BSN Nursing Pathway MOU was signed. Did that a couple weeks ago. Just want you to know that's in place. Key partners that I want to thank for that being brought about, that we were able to have that MOU signing. UNMC obviously is going to be a great partner for us, and I'm very excited that they saw McCook as a worthy partner for them. We've had a lot of communications with them over the last several months, working with them, and it really worked out well. Community Hospital, thanks to them for being a great partner and being willing to support us in this. And then Mid-Plains Community College, they're going to be a great partner as well. They're going to help us provide some of the coursework, college-level coursework that our students were going to need to move through that program in an efficient and effective way. So thank you to those organizations. Thank you to Brian Ash for bringing us into a relationship with the University of Nebraska Med Center. Without Brian's work, I don't know that we ever get this MOU signed. The next steps will involve marketing the program to students and enrolling those that are interested in earning a Bachelor of Science in Nursing. So we have to do some marketing. We did have 7 to 9 students showing interest at this point in time, but there's still some work to be done to make sure that we have kids enroll, and I'm really excited to see what happens with this in a couple of years. I think it's a great avenue, great pathway for our students who want to become a nurse, want to earn their BSN. It really sets them up for success. The last one that I got a couple more things. So Nebraska School Financing Review Commission summary. The governor appointed Nebraska School Financing Review. You might be aware of this, and they've been working since 2025. Met in April to present information collected from extensive research conducted during phase 1 of its work. During the meeting, 2 critically important presentations were delivered. The first presentation was given by the Needs Committee. I kind of talked about a portion of that TIOSA formula, that poverty allocation is part of the needs formula of TIOSA. A group focused on valuing the needs portion of the TIOSA state aid formula. During this presentation, committee members explained the major components of the formula, including detailed review of how poverty allocations are determined through tiered percentage ranges applied to district poverty, concentrations. The committee also described historical rationale behind key elements of the formula and how those components were originally designed to address varying student needs across the district. And one thing, this is a commentary on that. So the goal is to change TIOSA and to make it simpler, but as this committee has gone through and analyzed TIOSA and all really got into the weeds on, they've discovered that there's a reason for everything that's in the TIOSA formula. And so changing TIOSA is going to be a much more difficult challenge than I think people really realized at the onset. And so as this committee continues to work, they will make recommendations for change. But I don't think I don't know, I'm not part of it, but I would not be taken off guard if the changes were not as significant as maybe some are hoping for.
Not as easy as they
Right,
thought.
yeah, it's not as easy as they thought. Well, the people that
low-hanging fruit there.
Yeah, there is indeed. The people who designed the TIOSA formula, they put, hours and hours and hours, days and months and years worth of work into it. So for it to be revamped is going to take, I think, the same amount of time and effort and energy. This committee has been focused on identifying ways the formula can be refined to improve both effectiveness and efficiency, and measuring funding the spending. There's another committee. The spending committee followed the needs committee. This committee focused on examining property tax, collection taxes, property tax collections, state funded supported for schools, so they're looking at these things specifically, and overall spending practices across Nebraska school districts. Their analysis found that Nebraska has taken measurable steps to reduce reliance on property taxes by increasing the state's share of school funding from approximately 38%, and that was in 2019-2020, to about 53% in 24-25. While the local share has decreased from 56% to 38%. So basically one of the things that they found when they did go in and take a look at the spending, they have data that shows that the reliance on property tax has dropped by about 20% across the state. So the measures that have been taken in the past have actually had an impact on reducing property tax burdens. The committee also concluded that the school spending across Nebraska is generally being aligned with inflationary trends, suggesting the increase in expenditures are largely driven by rising costs rather than excessive growth in spending. So on this committee, it's educators, it's 6 past state senators that were part of the revenue committee. And the governor's appointed all of these individuals. So it's a mix of experienced folks in the education world and in the finance world. So that's who's on this committee, and these are the findings they're coming up with, which I think is not necessarily surprising. Some of it is eye-opening, a little bit of it's eye-opening. But it's kind of in line with what I thought they probably would find when they get into the data. Next thing I have is student handbooks. I've attached it to this, to our agenda tonight. The draft 26-27 student handbooks are here. Please review these handbooks prior to the June board meeting. We'd like to have we'll have it as an action item for approval in June. If you find any issues with the books as you do your review, please reach out to the building principals responsible for the handbook. Please note updates to the handbook are highlighted in yellow. And we have gotten some comments already on some changes that need to be made. So as you go through that, there might be something that you notice that you would like either clarification on, or it's just incorrect and needs to be changed. And that's my report. Any questions on anything?
Hearing none, thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. Next on the agenda is monthly business report from Mr. Burgos.
So for the month of April, we served 15,000 meals on the nose. I don't know how that happened, but it did. So that's how many meals were served in McCook Public Schools. Financials were 66% of the fiscal year is complete. Our general fund revenue is at 70%. Our year-to-date expenses are at 67%. So the budget continues to hold right in there. All funds are year-to-date revenue 69, and expenses are at 67. So just some facility notes. Highlight number one would be the junior high gym is undergoing a massive facelift at this time. They showed up a week and a half ago, and they sanded off 26 years of old finish. So you can imagine they filled up quite a dump trailer of just finish before they even got to the wood. So the guy was amazed you could put that much finish on a floor. Good news is our original boards, I think, were inch and a quarter almost in thickness. And nowadays they only make them in, help me out, Jake, 7/8 or 5/8. So the tongue and groove is way thicker. So because it's been sanded so few, it's got a couple sandings left in it.
We thought it was on its last sanding.
It's in great shape.
Yeah.
It can last, which was good to know, especially when we were looking at keeping the gym in our last planes. So anyway, that's ongoing. The basketball hoops people were out and reinforced and put new motors and things on our raising lowerability of our hoops and our made them way safer. And so we'll let the gym settle down once he's done finishing it for a few weeks, and then painters will be in, and in July they'll be to put the new bleachers in. So it's kind of nice watching that facility transform in there. So really everything else is upcoming. Roofing projects, senior high steps, and we are working on the drinking fountains in the middle of the junior high currently. So just a lot of stuff getting ready. In the last week and a half, when school gets out, our guys are ready to hit the ground running on that main project in the senior high. Will be a lion's share of getting that hallway transformed and modernized. So, the federal and state reports that were due in April was a non-public federal program for boundaries, Title I non-public consultation. Mr. Borland and Mr. Hanson got all of those wrapped up, and our SEBT, the EBT is electronic benefits transfer, the summer transfer, summer data that there's money for families for food for the summer. I also tagged onto there on my report, and Mr. Langen or Mr. Hayes, if you have anything to chime in, I put in an overview of our federal advocacy fly-in to Washington, D.C. that we were on a few weeks ago. Couple highlights I put on there from my standpoint would have been that our meeting with Senator Fisher and with Congressman Smith. With Senator Fisher, we met specifically with the entire Nebraska delegation and had a really good meeting with her. Not a lot, because it was a big meeting would have come out of it. There was 55 delegates in our delegation meeting with her. But when we did meet with Congressman Smith, it was 10 of us in the room with him. And he's a vocal advocate for rural education. And we had some really good discussions with him about things for future generations. So we also got to listen to federal briefings on budget and AI, early childhood and safety, and workforce development. So we got to sit through some key speakers and had a lot of engagement with other districts and other school boards. So let you guys chime in on anything else you'd like to add. So.
Yeah, I'd say that our emphasis basically was, and we saw, I guess Rick gets a little better as other people, but the emphasis is taking it from the Department of Education, giving the power back to the states, and because they feel like the states can do a better job of educating our students and trying to have one national policy out there. And just because of the diversity and things like that. So they and I know some people opposed it in our delegation from schools back east, but then as they talk to everybody, that's the direction that we're headed. And I think it's positive. We just got to make sure that nothing gets cut that's too essential. And that's kind of basically the gist of it.
I would say that you guys are spot on there, and also they were thankful that McCook was represented out there in DC, and we were thankful to be there. It was great to interact with our representatives. So
yeah, I feel like we did a good job of bragging on the successes of Western Nebraska and McCook Public Schools in general, letting them know, that was the point for me to make with Congressman Smith is, man, we feel like we're doing some really good stuff, and we're keeping the main thing out here, and that's educating kids and performing at a great level. And Nebraska's way ahead of the national, and McCook's ahead of the state, so we felt like we're doing some good things. So, yeah. That would be my report.
And a fun story to tell. It's just something that you guys do every day that makes it happen. And then you look at it on a national level, like Nebraska's way up there, and then we're above Nebraska. And just that's something to consider. You take a look at the poverty numbers in our district. It's some challenges, and that's why you guys do such an amazing job.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is board comments. So, any comments on the education guide we've done soon? We'll move to the next agenda item, which is accept resignations, and we do not have any resignations. So yes, it is nice. So we'll move to approve some contracts. First one is a Patricia Doors. Looking for a motion.
I move to approve a contract for Patricia Borhorst, 6th grade ELA for first semester, MA plus 36, step 8.
The motion, do we have a second?
I'll say.
The motion and second, any discussion? The other interviewer, hi.
We've hired several times. She's worked with us a number of times over the years. This might be the third time we've hired her, is that right?
Second official.
Oh, I thought it was Stan's. A lot of long-term subs. I apologize. She's basically full-time, all the time. She does an amazing job for us, and we're really excited. Chad's not here tonight, but I talked to him through this whole process, and we're looking for someone that can fill this role. And it was a late opening because of a promotion within. And so she's an outstanding teacher. She's worked in every content area I think we've had, at least as a substitute teacher, so we're really excited to bring her on for first semester. We do have a plan for second semester, as long as everything works out and everyone feels comfortable with that plan as we move through the first semester, then we have a plan for second semester. If not, they'll bring that change to you at that time.
Very good. Any more questions or comments? And then we'll take a vote, Mr. Gross.
Mike Lang.
Yes.
Charlie McPherson.
Yes.
Brad Hayes.
Yes.
Scott Barker.
Yes.
Motion approved. Next on the agenda is to approve a contract for Mr. Joel Bennett for the Chief of K-12 Education and Instruction. Looking for a motion.
I move to approve the contract for Joel Bender for a position of Chief of K through 12 Education and Instruction.
We have a motion, we have a second.
I'll say.
We have a motion and a second, any discussion?
Well, I think that we probably should hear from Mr. Gross on this a little bit.
So with the events of Mr. Norgard leaving and me taking on the superintendent position, my first action was to replace somebody in our office. I shared my plan when we had discussed, and that was that I would continue to still operate as the financial person in the district instead of learning new things and taking on some new things. I would continue doing this and bring Mr. Bednar on. And the title, I know maybe he hasn't got fond of yet, but the reason for Chief of K-12 Education Instruction is I want it to be known that he is our academic leader in terms of assessment, curriculum, instruction, and working hand in hand with the principals and the PLC leader. And so, to me, chief means the way we have it written out in the job description that I put together for him gives him that autonomy. And Mr. Norgard put it really good in the rationale that he'll oversee student services, including SPED, counseling, related supports, compliance and alignment with all of our academic goals. And he'll serve as a senior advisor to myself, addressing escalated parent community concerns and systemic issues, and ensures responsive, solution-oriented communication. So it's a transition piece to make this all work.
Very good. Any questions or comments?
I'd say you had quite a few people that were qualified for that, and they're already in the same group as far as I can. And that is evident. That Joel has the extensive, basically.
When Mr. Gross shared this concept with me, I thought it was a very wise move. It made a lot of sense. He'll have skill sets that will make him very successful in this role. And he'll have challenges, but Mr. Gross will be there to help solve those challenges, help him mature and grow into that role. But I think Joel's on good footing heading in.
And managing the curriculum and everything else that's a strength.
Yep.
Very good. Any more questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll take a vote, Mr. Brooks.
Charlie McPherson. Yes. Brad Hayes.
Yes.
Scott Barker.
Yes.
Mike Lang.
Yes.
Motion approved. Next on the agenda is for the contract with Molly Sharp for the position of elementary principal and curriculum director. I'm looking for a motion.
Move to approve the contract for Molly Sharp for the position of elementary principal and curriculum director.
We have a motion, we have a second.
I second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Well, again, I'll have Mr. Gross speak. I'll just say that Molly has been in our administrative pipeline for how many years now? 6 years. So, Mr. Gross, turn it over to you.
Dominoes once again. Molly is a proven what I would call excellent educator, and she's proven to be solid in every dealing with parents and academia, and is well respected amongst all of the McCook Public Schools in every facet. And so it was a no-brainer being in Central and knowing the culture, and to continue the positive culture of an excellent school, let's call it. That Central's an excellent school. And so I could think of no better anybody to lead that than let Molly run with it. So.
Again, Molly has excellent experience being the dean in Central for the last 6 years, and she's been part of our admin team. She goes with us to admin days. She's been a positive and contributor, and I'm glad that, I think that's, again, when Mr. Gross shared with me his plan, I thought that's a great idea, a wise maneuver.
Any more discussion or comments? Hearing none, we'll take a vote, Mr. Bruce.
Brad Hayes.
Yes.
Scott Barker.
Yes.
Mike Lang. Yes. Charlie McPherson.
Yes. Motion approved. Congratulations, Mr. Vedder and Mr. Shaw. Welcome to the new team, I guess. Next on the agenda is to approve a contract for Colleen Olson, elementary teacher. I'm looking for a motion.
I move to approve the contract for Colleen Olson, elementary teacher at MA plus 36, step 15.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
And second.
We have a motion and a second, any discussion?
This is the school district taking an opportunity to hire a master teacher. Mrs. Olson was with us for a number of years before her retirement. She consistently produced some of the highest achievement levels our students have had. And now we've continued to maintain those at that level, but she established the foundation upon which the curriculum at 8th grade was built for mathematics. She's just an outstanding teacher. She's a master teacher, so I think we could probably plug her in anywhere and she'd be incredibly successful. And let's see, any other comments?
I just, when she expressed interest, it was a weight lifted off at this time of year trying to find a good teacher, and so it's been good.
Molly had to be part of this decision.
Yeah, so we discussed it and just, she's a good fit.
Any other comments, questions? Hearing none, we'll take a vote.
Scott Barker.
Yes.
Mike Lang.
Yes.
Charlie McPherson. Brad Hayes.
Yes. Motion approved. Next on the agenda is policy number 1110, bulletin boards, display cases, and posted material. This is a motion.
I move to approve updates to policy number 1110, bulletin board, display case, and posted material.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second, any discussion? Mr. Norberg did discuss that with us earlier. Oh, know that we need to hear it again.
If you want to.
Yeah, I think it's just equal access and making sure materials are appropriate for school.
Hearing no further discussion, we'll take a vote, Mr. Gross.
Mike Lang.
Yes.
Charlie McPherson. Brad Hayes.
Yes.
Scott Barker.
Yes.
Motion approved. Next on the agenda is policy number 3130. Looking for a motion.
I move to approve updates to policy number 3130, purchasing policies.
We have a motion, do we have a second? We have a motion and a second, any discussion?
These next three are all related to purchasing, and they're related to protocols and procedures for procurement. And we just bring it, the next three are all in line with state statute.
Okay. Hearing no more discussion, we'll take a vote, Mr. Gross.
Charlie McPherson.
Yes.
Brad Hayes.
Yes.
Scott Barker.
Yes.
Mike Lang.
Yes.
Motion approved. Next on the agenda is policy number 3131. Looking for a motion.
I move to approve updates to policy number 3131, procurement. I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a vote, Mr. Gross.
Brad Hayes.
Yes.
Scott Barker. Yes. Mike Lang. Charlie McPherson.
Yes. Motion approved. Next on the agenda is policy number 3132.
I move to approve updates to policy 3132, internal control.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second, any discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. Mr. Rose?
Scott Barker.
Yes.
Mike Lang.
Yes.
Charlie McPherson.
Yes.
Brad Hayes.
Yes. Motion approved. Next on the agenda is policy number 3560. Looking for a motion.
I move to approve updates to policy number 3560, records management.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second, any discussion?
This one again has to do with records management and how we process and share that data with other school districts as students transfer out of those educational entities.
Need to see.
That, yeah, so it could be a state too. Thank you. Hearing no more discussion, we'll take a vote. Mr. Rose?
Mike Lang.
Yes.
Charlie McPherson.
Yes.
Brad Hayes.
Yes.
Scott Barker.
Yes.
Motion approved. Next on the agenda is policy number 5003. Looking for a motion.
I move to approve updates to policy number 5003, assignment of students.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second, any discussion?
This policy has to do with, like it says, assignment of students and where they're placed based on their academic past. And also has to do, there's a portion in that was changed to clarify or make clear to the public expectations for receiving a diploma from McCook High School.
Thank you. Hearing no more discussion, we'll take a vote. Mr. Rose?
Charlie McPherson. Yes. Brad Hayes.
Yes.
Scott Barker.
Yes.
Mike Lang.
Yes.
Motion approved. Next on the agenda is policy number 5004. Looking for a motion.
I move to approve updates to policy 5004, full-time enrollment.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second, any discussion?
This has to do with, optional enrollment, full-time, and part-time enrollment, how that's determined. Some of these are all, 504, 505, and 506 are all related, and have to do with the same change in state statute. A lot of it has to do with the changes that have been made to option enrollment. I know only 5006 talks about option enrollment, but they all are interlaced together. They're webbed together, weaved together. So that's why these other three policies changed. So and again, it has to do with how we accept option enrollments. This does have to do with full-time, part-time. When you have homeschool students, so that I probably left that out. How does a part-time student participate in activities or those types of things? That's in this language as well. So one of the things I did leave out earlier that I'm thinking about it was, so certain entities control participation, and NSAA is one of those. So if you want to play sports, you have to meet NSAA requirements for attendance in school, full-time, part-time, how that works. Some homeschool students do come to the public schools for a couple courses a day. NSAA has requirements for that. So do entities like FBLA, FFA, those other organizations. Those govern the requirements for enrollment. This state requirement is different, and it has to do with clubs that don't have an external entity that governs it. So if you are a part-time student, you take one class, you're taking 5 credit hours a semester, you can still participate in one of our clubs that isn't governed by another entity. So it's giving kids the opportunity to access those clubs. And off the top of my head, I can't tell you what we have actually.
Well, a math club.
Math club, so something like that. Anyway, I left that out in my initial coverage when I talked about it during my report, but that's in there as well. So.
Very good, thank you. Hearing no more discussion, we'll take a vote. Mr. Rose?
Brad Hayes.
Yes.
Scott Barker.
Yes.
Mike Lang.
Yes.
Charlie McPherson.
Yes. Motion approved. Next on the agenda is policy number 5005.
I move to approve updates to policy number 5005, student benefits.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second, any discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. Mr. Rose?
Scott Barker.
Yes.
Mike Lang.
Yes.
Charlie McPherson. Brad Hayes.
Yes. Motion approved. Next on the agenda is policy number 5006. I'm looking for a motion.
I move to approve updates to policy 5006, option enrollment.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second, do we have any discussion?
This one just hits that language on option enrollment and siblings more strongly, but they're all, like I said, related.
Thank you. Hearing no more discussion, we'll take a vote. Mr. Rose?
Mike Lang.
Yes.
Charlie McPherson.
Yes.
Brad Hayes.
Yes.
Scott Barker.
Yes.
Motion approved. Next on the agenda is policy number 5601, for a motion.
I move to approve updates to policy 5601, asthma anaphylaxis and allergic reaction protocol.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second, any discussion?
Alignment with state.
Two.
Yeah, just one. I put that on there twice. Because I like to make sure we got it on there. I like the devil's advocate.
So any more discussion on that? Other than, this is for the health needs of our students?
Yeah.
Hearing no more discussion, we'll take a vote. Mr. Rhodes?
Charlie McPherson.
Yes.
Brad Hayes.
Yes.
Scott Barker.
Yes.
Mike Lang.
Yes.
Motion approved. Next on the agenda is policy number 8130. Looking for a motion.
I move to approve updates to policy number 8130, annual organizational meeting.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second, any discussion?
Again, regulations governing the annual organization of the meeting. This is a meeting that takes place in January, so those are the processes and protocols that take place for, we have that special agenda that night that goes through each of the steps of the election of the president and the vice president, and then the board secretary, or the recording secretary, treasurer, those types of things. So, the policy was changed to come into alignment with state statute for that annual meeting, for the organizational meeting.
Thank you. Hearing no more discussion, we'll take a vote.
Brad Hayes.
Yes.
Scott Barker.
Yes.
Mike Lang.
Yes.
Charlie McPherson.
Yes. Motion approved. Next on the agenda is policy number 8342. Looking for a motion.
I'll move to approve updates to policy number 8342, method of giving notice.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second, any discussion?
This will have very little impact on McCook Public Schools, but again, our policy was changed to match state statute.
Hearing no more discussion, we'll take a vote. Mr. Rhodes?
Scott Barker.
Yes.
Mike Lang.
Yes.
Charlie McPherson.
Yes.
Brad Hayes.
Yes. Motion approved. Ooh, we're done with policies.
Can I make a note that I would like to thank Mr. Miller for doing this? Because this is normally a July, August thing, and he chose to knock it out, so we had it done. It wasn't something I'd be dealing with right away when I started, so thank you, Mr. Miller.
And thank our school attorneys for getting us that information.
Next on the agenda is a positive one. Not these others were positive, sorry. $7,000 from the Graff Charitable Foundation. Looking for a motion.
I move to accept a donation from the Grass Charitable Foundation for girls tennis for the amount of $1,000.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second, any discussion? Thank you.
And gratitude towards the Graff Charitable Foundation for our girls tennis team. Thank you very much.
Is it earmarked for anything, or is this?
Just to be used for tennis, girls tennis.
Very good. Well, we'll put it to good use, I'm sure that's fantastic. Hearing no more discussion, we'll take a vote. Mr. Rhodes?
Mike Lang.
Yes.
Charlie McPherson.
Yes.
Brad Hayes.
Yes.
Scott Barker.
Yes.
Motion approved. Next on the agenda is to accept another generous donation. Looking for a motion.
I move to accept a donation from CTE Construction for Bison Kids Club Snacks Program for the amount of $1,250.
We have a motion, do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Once again, gratitude and a big thank you. I guess this is the second check we've got. Third. This is the third. So significant check.
And our Bison's Kids Club, which is our extended day in school. Really thankful for that, because that is an expense that we take on, because we want kids, we identify students, so we want to be part of the program. We really don't want anything financial standing in the way of them participating. So really appreciate CTE, and I think Mr. Gross has talked to CTE, and thanks to them as well for their donations to our school system. Makes a difference.
Hearing no more discussion, we'll take a vote.
Charlie McPherson. Brad Hayes.
Yes.
Scott Barker.
Yes.
Mike Lang.
Yes.
Motion approved. Next on the agenda is positive comments. Start with Charlie.
Yeah, no, just probably hear a lot about graduation. I thought overall the ceremony and everything was great. Without a hitch. I know there's a lot of work and time and effort everybody spends, getting ready for that, so we appreciate everything you do. Also with that, with the school year winding down, there's a lot of different activities and events. Like 2 third graders are still raving about Carne last week, so on that trip, and so there's a lot of neat activities, and there's a lot of, again, coordination and time that goes into that, so appreciate everything you and your staff do.
I think, again, we're getting to see the stuff at DC and how the state of Nebraska ranks against, in relation to the rest of the schools on education. We do well and we exceed the state. And I think that's a big success. Probably another one would be, we had somebody stay with us for a while and they get back in school and then we had some other challenges and she came back, was allowed to come re-enroll, and they graduated on Friday night. And talking about going to college and nursing or this. Talking about plastic surgery, I don't want to be a stretch. I never know. But so and I think you guys changed a lot of lives that a lot of people don't realize happens. I've seen that happen with multiple kids. You make sure that did everything in your power to help them get their education and stay in school.
Thank you. Scott.
I would echo the comments on graduation. It's never a small feat to get that many kids in and out of there. And I don't know, Mr. Dickus, what was it, 56 minutes? 57 minutes this year? We keep track. We do. So anyways, it was great. The counselors obviously do a great job with that. The Wax Museum was well attended. The kids did an amazing job, just like always. It's always fun to get to see those. I had a nephew that did it this year. It was a lot of fun to watch. And then the last one is Mrs. Johnson got an Educator of the Year award, I believe, Mr. Warren. Yeah, so congrats to her. That was great to see that. So, yeah.
Mr. Gross.
All the field trips and all the events going on. Last week I was part of the 6th grade walking tour. The same time simultaneously we had the 8th grade ag tour. Today there were kids there's buses going. It takes a lot of volunteers. I'm not just talking about even McCook staff to pull off all the things that are going on. So I just want to thank everybody for being mindful, especially the community, for helping out at this time of the year with all of these events. So it takes a community to pull off education, and everybody steps forward and helps out. We did the track meet today, went down and watched the kindergarten for a little bit. Takes a lot of people down there pulling that off. It's kind of fun to watch. So.
Thank you. I would just like, it's always fun to be a part of the graduation and all the kids' excitement, and it was just a great experience and it was really well attended, which is the norm here. And so I'm thankful for students having all that support, and there was lots of participation by staff, which was great. And then I would just say welcome to Mr. Gross and Mrs. Shar and Mr. Vedder. Thank you.
We were shaking hands, you could tell who the wrestlers and the football players were. Especially some of the wrestlers. So,
I've been to almost every one of those since we moved to MCC, the Graphic Event Center. That might have been the fullest. It was actually bad.
Yeah, it's a nice event. Thankful for MCC, I guess, as well, because that's a good thing for that.
All right. Nice. Since one of you took to my pre-planned one, I do have a good one. I'm going to go. Thank you to Tina Williams for her starting up the digital citizenship program. This isn't year one, but that's a great experience for our students to have to be creative, to think critically, and to submit something and to receive recognition for that. not only in receiving an award as number one or number two, but just the opportunity for those kids to come before this board and read to you all what they wrote and to present their drawings to you and the support that you all showed our students. So thank you for Tina making that possible, but also the Board of Education for wanting our students to be in this room and to support education and support teachers. I very much appreciate it. I think that goes a long ways into making what makes McCook Public Schools such a great school system as the Board of Education in our community. They truly care about our kids and they want to see our kids shine and succeed. So I appreciate that. Thank you. So that was a better thank you than the one I had originally. Thank you for challenging me.
And next on the agenda is adjournment, and we're going to adjourn at